Good afternoon and welcome back to another edition of Driving Maul on Loud Radio. Sharky.
Hello, hello, hello.
It's been a fun week in rugby, hasn't it?
Shit.
Non-stop changes, all kinds of stuff going on.
Jesus, what a weekend. What a weekend. And then we get the awesome Lions announcement.
Yeah, the British and Irish Lions Barbarians.
Dumbass, I thought the Aussies were announcing the next day, only to find out that the Aussies or Dingo's only going to announce his squad on the 16th, possibly.
Yes, but what they are going to announce is a protected squad, which basically are the guys that are going to be drawn out of the
protected squad. Does that mean the bouncers can't punch them in the face when they're getting pissed and unruly?
Yeah, I saw a lovely tweet, media shy Curtly Bill. You've got to be fucking kidding me.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's why they haven't sent Danny Kerr, because between I don't know how they're going to keep Danny Kerr, Quade Cooper and Curtly Beale out of the bars, so
yeah,
probably
time will tell. Look, let's start the show with a little bit of sad news. It's turned out that Tennis Lani, stalwart and hard man of Western Province Rugby in the 90s.
For some youngsters. Man, that guy's got so much respect, even for guys. I mean, these kids that we were coaching were 17, 16 years old, and past he had played like many years before they were even around, and so much respect, and good work, and being probably the biggest man I've ever seen. He's huge. Yeah,
I used to love watching him.
I wish him all the best.
Tackles. Yeah, indeed. And I believe the J9 Foundation have got a fundraiser telethon on Espresso on SABC tomorrow. So if you can catch that, jump into it. Yeah, now let's get into judging some rugby, because the big talking point in the world of rugby is, as you were saying, the Lions squad is announced. 37-man squad. Warburton, the youngest Lions skipper ever. No Rob Shaw. No Rory Best. No Ward that we were picking. The dark horse coming in there. Sean Maitland, from kicked out by the Crusaders to playing for Scotland to going on a Lions tour to potentially playing against his cousin.
QC.
Yeah. Johnny Wilkinson not there either. Rumoured to have declined the opportunity, saying his body's hanging on by a thread. 14 of the Welsh who started that Six Nations drubbing of the English in the to win the Six Nations title in the 37-man squad. No real surprises across the park. One or two bolters are probably the biggest for me. Obviously, Sean Maitland. We know his class, we know his quality, but there were a few other wingers floating around that could well have challenged for a position there. And then Matt Stevens and Maka Vunapolo coming out of left field, basically, because Stevens had retired from international rugby last year, and Vunapolo tends to be on the bench for series. So
very interesting. It's we'll go through the squad, and then I'll give you my thoughts on what I think, what I'd change.
Okay, the Lee Halfpenny, Stuart Hogg and Rob Kearney are the fullbacks. Can't really argue too much there. Not sure what else there is floating around that could maybe...
Only other two that would be in with the shot would be Mike Brown and the Sarries fullback.
Yes. But
anyway, those are the only other two, but definitely been outperformed by the Welsh and Irish. So
yeah, I mean, Halfpenny and Kearney probably first on the list for most sides coming out of Europe, that is. On the wings, Tommy Bowe, no-brainer. Alex Cuthbert, no-brainer. Sean Maitland, the surprise. George North, no-brainer.
Yeah, they're pretty solid. The one for me, obviously, is Sean Maitland, and if there's two names I'm going to mention that both of them have excelled during the Six Nations, and both of them could easily play above Sean Maitland. I think Sean Maitland's gone through having been coached by Robbie Deans before. Maybe that's the shot, and also I do believe is to bolster up the Scottish numbers, because I think they've only got three guys in. But Tim Fisser's one, and he plays for Scotland. He's been pretty solid in the Rabbit Direct. He's been pretty solid in what he's doing and scoring a couple of decent tries. And Simon Zebo, playing for Ireland, Munster, an Irish player, can play fullback, solid on the wing, and if you really need him, you can play him at outside centre. However, their centres are pretty decent. But I thought Zebo would be in with the shout. And then I was discussing a little while ago Johnny May. I thought he'd be an outside bet because he's had a great season for Gloucester. Not been capped yet. A lot of gas, big kid. But they've got quite a lot of that in the squad already.
Yeah, sure. The one thing that I did pick up is that often you find in these Lions squads is the wings can cover numerous positions, but he's picked 4 out-and-out wingers. None of these guys really play anywhere else. Maitland's had a couple of runs at fullback in his Crusaders time, but other than that, and then you look at the fullbacks as well. Halfpenny, Hogg and Kearney don't really play anywhere other than fullback.
Yeah, Halfpenny can play on the wing if you need him, but there's no ways I put him there. Him and Kearney. The thing is Stuart Hogg, I actually wanted to touch on this when we got to the Fly House, but Stuart Hogg is he's not played club, the sort of top club and international at 10, but he's been spoken about as being an optional backup at fly half
in the midweek.
I was going to say that is a dirt tracker backup if I've ever seen one.
Onto the centres, a lot of chat going on around this as well, but I mean these guys again picked themselves. Jonathan Davies and Jamie Roberts have been outstanding as a combination for a few years now. Brian O'Driscoll is, I mean, he may be over the hill. It's his 4th Lions tour, but you watch some of the play that he's provided throughout this season, he's still got the goods to play at the top level, and he brings in that bit of experience and old head into a touring squad. Mano Tuilagi, still for me, I haven't seen anything that...
Besides the one game against New Zealand.
Yeah, but even then, I mean,
even then, and ironically,
from when he made it
made a hell of a lot of that space for him.
Yeah. But like you get into Tuilagi when he came onto the scene for England in the World Cup in 2011, and I thought, wow, here comes. But he's done nothing in 3 years, as far as I'm concerned, at international level.
He's definitely not your first choice Test match 12 or 13 for that matter. You know, that's been pretty much selected already. Again, that he'll be backup. He's a fairly decent backup, and anyone coming off the bench. But in terms of trying to find any other centres, you'll be hard pressed to find another one better than him if you're looking, because he will be backing up the other.
No, sure. I'm not saying he doesn't do it. He shouldn't be there. It's just that he
would be in a coin flip with someone else possibly.
Onto the fly halves, and this is the biggest talking point because Owen Farrell looked to be found wanting in the Heineken Cup semi-final through a couple of forward passes. Yes, he can kick and play. Johnny Sexton's obviously the first choice fly half. They've only taken 2. Suspicion is that Wilkinson basically just wanted to have a couple of weeks off. He can't be there for the whole tour because Toulon are going to be in quarterfinals and semi-finals of their Orange Top 14. But for 2 fly halves to go through effectively what is going to be 10 test matches,
it's tough. It's tough.
Don't be surprised to see Wilkinson and O'Gara as the fly halves in the 22 of the third test.
Wilkinson will definitely be there before the second test. The first test is on the 22nd of June. I'm telling you now, Wilkinson will be there before the second test. There's no ways that can protect the guys. It's going to be hard games. Everyone they're playing against, most of them are Super Rugby sides. They've got one combo side. It's the Queensland rural or
New South Wales country.
Yeah, yes, and they're going to come through, and but most of the guys are Super Rugby teams that are on a break that will need the match fitness. They will be playing pretty decent. But they also
pretty much one opportunity to play against the British and Irish Lions side. Everyone are going to throw everything at them, and
they got some big boys and they make some big hits, and it's going to be very interesting to see how they cope at 10. Owen Farrell had a shocker this weekend, and Johnny Wilkinson was head and shoulders above him, much better. And Johnny Sexton's going to be first choice, and Farrell's going to come off the bench. Is Farrell going to offer what you need for your fly half that comes off the bench? The guy that's going to come down, settle everything down, close out that game, take a couple of kicks. He's a fairly decent kicker, but he's more erratic. He's more a starter and a runner. And you watch schoolboy rugby and you see they're going to throw a number of solid sort of random 50-50s because they're never going to die wondering. And Farrell doesn't fit into that older fly half, the guy who's going to compose the side. And it's a worry for me, and it's a massive one considering he's going to be responsible for sort of firstly a big defensive channel, and also getting the big boys outside and going.
Scrum halves, again, I mean, Mike Phillips pretty much picks himself. Conor Murray impressed in what I've seen of him. I didn't know too much about him prior to the last few rounds of Six Nations this year. And then Ben Young's there or thereabouts. As you said, Danny Kerr probably count himself unlucky. Anyone else that missed out?
I was mainly focused on Danny Kerr. I thought, I think possibly his off the field exploits have stopped him from being selected. I think maybe they don't want to worry about Danny Kerr and what he's getting up to and stuff like that. Maybe he doesn't have a good relationship with Warren Gatland and a few of the other guys, but he'll definitely provide something absolutely amazing in Australia and against Australians. With Will Genney and stuff like that, he's the right guy to be around there. And whenever he comes on, you'll see when he comes on for Quins and when he came on for England, always picks up the tempo. Always, looking for a quick tap. He's very sort of quick around the base of any loose stuff. And he's got a lot of gas. He's got a great pass. And I think that could be a major problem. He should definitely have gone, in my opinion. Conor Murray's had a pretty decent year, but I just think Danny Kerr is better than him and Ben Youngs. So even though Ben Youngs has been more of a first choice starting for England than Danny Kerr, but we'll wait and see. But Mike Phillips again, first choice.
Yeah,
you'll have Mike Phillips starting, and what I would think would be like someone like Danny Kerr coming off the bench to provide a bit of impetus, because I don't think they're going to be winning the games hands down. It's going to be tight, tough test matches. And,
Warburton set himself up as well, saying he wants to go unbeaten.
I know. That's
Why don't you put a target on yourself immediately?
Bada bing, bada boom.
On to the pack. The props. As we said, Stevens and Vunipola probably the two surprises. Dan Cole picks himself, Kian Healy picks himself, Gethin Jenkins picks himself, Adam Jones picks himself, and then Stevens and Vunipola. But who else would there be?
I'm very surprised with Vunipola. Stevens as well, but not as much as I am by Vunipola. He's probably had 15-20 minutes of test match rugby. Youngster. Going up against a very, very solid and very experienced Aussie pack. Very interested to see that. Also, they've taken 6 props. That's large. They've got 6 props and they've got 5 flankers. 5 locks and 6 props, which kind of sort of lays down a mark of what they're after. The only two, Stevens and Vunipola, but everyone else is pretty much there. Stevens solid. He's not shit.
It was just a surprise in terms of the fact that he'd retired from international football.
Wasn't even in with the shout. No one even thought of mentioning the fact that he could go.
Until about an hour beforehand, when suddenly I picked up a tweet that said two series props in the.
Ooh. Where'd you pick that up off?
I'll find it. Can't remember who it was, but there was that, and Maitland popped up in the hour before the squad got announced. So someone got in on the inside at some stage.
It was a very well kept secret, the squad, I must be honest. It was
well, Warburton knew for 10 days. Can you imagine?
And so someone sent a tweet saying I knew Warburton was in when I sent him a message saying good luck, and he never replied.
Hookers, Dylan Hartley of England, walking yellow card. Richard Hibbard thoroughly impressed me in the Six Nations. He's come from nowhere from my perspective. I hadn't seen or heard much about him, and he certainly looks the goods in the number 2. Tom Youngs, hasn't done anything for me. Rory Best for Ireland, how he's
shocker, absolute shocker, and it's a first brothers to tour since the Underwood brothers. I almost feel like I'm having a go at the Youngs family, but both of them, in my opinion, shouldn't be there. Tom Young's not been spectacular. He's got a couple of England caps, and you look at who's there, and then you think, well, hang on. Instead of bringing on this kid, we could bring on someone like Rory Best, which, if you think about Hartley, Hibbard, and Best fighting for that number 2 jersey during the course of the sort of 3 weeks leading up to the first test, it would be absolutely amazing. But again, I can tell you now, Best will be there in a heartbeat if there's any injury. There's absolutely nobody who would come close to taking that position if there's an injury.
Yeah. Second rows, Ian Evans, born in Joburg.
What?
True story.
Shut up.
True story.
Come on.
Richie Gray, good to see him there. He's solid and impressive. Alan Wynne-Jones again. Paul O'Connell has been back to his imperious best in recent weeks in the Heineken Cup. Jeff Parling, surprise for me.
He should be a flippin' school teacher, bro. That's what he looks like. Just go teach some shit.
And then onto the back rows. And again, there's conjecture here. How does Robshaw not get there? One of the biggest tackles made in terms of the Six Nations and the Heineken Cup. Another one that didn't get there, Kelly Brown, who's been thoroughly impressive leading Scotland and playing
Saracens.
and playing for Sarries.
It's been that was a shock for me. Both of them that you mentioned.
Yeah, Tom Croft's only recently back into the England side, wasn't he?
Yes. Listen, he's solid. It's not like this. And for me, I mean, we've got Tom Croft, Toby Faletau, who blows a little bit hot and cold, but when he's good, he's flipping sensational. Jamie
he's the world class.
Yeah. Dan Lydiot, also unbelievable. I believe under a slight injury cloud.
Well, he hasn't played since the November test. Maybe January when he...
That would constitute more than a slight injury.
Yeah. No, he tore... He was supposed to be out. Remember, they said he probably wouldn't make the Lions.
That's
and then
right.
it wasn't as bad.
Yeah.
And
Sean O'Brien.
World class.
Justin Tipperick. That been
he's been impressive. Is he better than Rob Shaw? It's debatable. Not quite the same kind of player. He's more of a Lapis Labuschagne link-up player. Yeah, provides the passes. I mean, that pass to set Cuthbert away for his second try in that final game of the Six Nations summed him up for me as a loose forward.
Yeah. And Sam Warburton, the last of the loosies and the captain.
Yeah, which is a surprise given that he didn't actually want to captain Wales in that final game. He actually said, I don't want the job.
Yeah, but I think and then having listened to Gatlin chat about it, and he said, well, we're aware that he didn't want to captain, but he jumped at the opportunity to captain the Lions. I mean, it'll be huge. My discussion on Rob Shaw is you've got to if you look at the Welsh side, the Welsh players, the English players, and the Irish players, they make up a majority of it. And when you have someone like Rob Shaw there, who is the English captain and is the second biggest group of players there country-wise, I think for a 7-week tour, you need someone like him there. You need their captain there as well. They've got Paul O'Connell. The Irish have got O'Connell, and they've got O'Gara. The Welsh have got Sam Warburton and a couple of the other boys. You do need someone there. You need the O'Connell and the O'Gara and a Rob Shaw.
O'Driscoll.
O'Driscoll.
Yeah.
My bad.
No.
To I wish everyone could have seen the look on your face. And a Rob Shaw to help Sam Warburton on during the course with management and
Kelly Brown, captain of Scotland. Where's he?
But there's only three other Scots there. I'm just talking about bringing the guys together and stuff like that. And it's gonna be tough. And I do believe over 7 weeks you need it. Just the same as I believe Johnny Wilkinson adds so much more to the squad and the 7 weeks. I understand that he's not there, and I understand why, and I really think he will be there. But when he does come there, things will calm down. Things will be a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Rob Shaw, I'm gutted. I mean, how to be a captain and not be there is tough.
Look, the simple fact is that these 37 guys still have to get through the next 4 weeks of rugby in their domestic leagues. So
4 weeks of domestic, then they've got five stop, drop, and rolls against the Aussies before the test.
And the rest.
And they got the Barbarians, and then I'm talking about the Aussie Super Rugby sides.
Yeah, they've got 6 games before the first test, plus quarterfinals and semi-finals of domestic leagues and Rabo Direct Pro 12 and whatever other cuck they play in. First game against the Barbars 1 June. Looking forward to that.
And first test on the 22nd.
Yeah.
Just incidentally, little stats I saw that apparently the average of players changing through injury and stuff, like new players joining the squad, is between 6 and 8. So there's a lot of movement there. Indeed.
Just picked up a lovely tweet. I know it's got nothing to do with rugby, but just plain Darren says, I didn't get tickets to see Justin Bieber. So stoked. The Rugby World Cup grounds for 2015 were announced today. They're going to be spread across the United Kingdom. Brighton Community Stadium, Manchester City Stadium, Ellen Road, Kingsholm, Gloucester, Leicester City Stadium, Millennium Stadium, Cardiff, Olympic Stadium, London, Sandy Park, Exeter, Milton Keynes Stadium in Milton Keynes, St James's Park, Newcastle, Twickenham in London, Villa Park in Birmingham, and Wembley in London. So 3 big stadiums in London.
massive.
The Olympic Stadium, Wembley, and Twickenham are all going to be holding World Cup games.
Well, the Olympic Stadium 54,000 capacity, Twicker's 81,000, and Wembley 90,000. And then you've got Villa Park, which is a 42. Millennium Stadium 74, huge.
No, Manchester City Stadium as well, 47,000. They've also brought the draw out. England will play the top qualifier from Oceania in the opening game of the World Cup on Friday, September the 18th,
Tonga.
2000 or Fiji. Or
Samoa, Tonga.
Samoa's already in because they finished. They were in the top 8.
Tonga will roll them. Opening game.
The South Africa opened their World Cup against the top Asian side, which will be Japan, in Brighton on Saturday the 19th of September. New Zealand get their defence underway against Argentina on Sunday the 20th at Wembley.
That is huge as well.
Yeah, in fact, Tonga are already in another group, so it's going to be Oceania 1 has to be Fiji. Can't be anyone else. Samoa and Tonga are already in there. Who else is there?
Damn it.
No one. And then... Yeah, that's that's the bulk of somewhere. Where's Australia? Australia play England. Australia's opening game is against Oceania 1. So obviously with the 5-team group, whatever. Anyway,
and they've finally sorted out all the fixtures as well. It seems to be a hell of a lot more fair after.
Yeah, well, essentially, South Africa. Just to give you an idea, they play Scotland on the 3rd of October, and 4 days later, they play America's 2, which will be Canada, the United States. I don't know, dude.
My birthday's the end of October. That'll be in the month. It'll be a month and a half. Maybe miss out a bit on that.
The final is Saturday, October 31st.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
3 days after my birthday. Might have to make a trip.
Moving on, Heineken Cup semis were this weekend. I think I picked the wrong one to watch because I didn't see the Munster Clermont game, but that sounded like it was a bit of a cliffhanger. Ended up in a situation with a try apiece, O'Gara with a conversion and a penalty, but Morgan Parra with two more penalties than he kicked to give them a 16-10 win. O'Gara, they were running through his list of Heineken Cup semi-finals and games and blah 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 blah, and he refused to be drawn into whether it was his last one. So we'll see.
It was pretty solid. I think I thought Clermont did exceptionally well to play a different sort of type of rugby and to just eat away and do the business. They're actually getting quite good at. They're playing some good test rugby when they need to.
And it was a solid test because it was 13-3 to Clermont at half time, and you thought, oh, here we go, floodgate's going to open, and then they ended up needing a penalty towards the end to give themselves a 16-10 lead, and then Munster were trying to throw everything at it. Sketchy forward pass call. Right on the hooter, a little bit of ref stress there, but that was nothing compared to the ref stress in the other game, because Alan Roland was trying to turn it into the Alan Roland show, which means he was blowing up everything all the time. He was blowing differently for hands in the ruck all the time, and it wasn't helped trying to watch it. It was a stop-start affair, 24-12 Toulon win, a nifty little drop kick by Johnny Wilkinson under pressure from Farrell to almost close it out, but the Stuart Barnes and Co. verbal fellatio of Johnny Wilkinson was bordering on nauseating. I actually couldn't take it anymore. It was just like, there are other people on the park and singing the praises of how good the kicking is. It was like, really? There's no fucking tries, and you literally are rubbing one out about a penalty kick. Anyway, it's an all-French final, which doesn't suit the French too well because Clermont only started with 7 frogs in their team, and Toulon were even worse. They only had 4.
4, yeah. I must be honest. I picked Toulon to win that game. I just thought they would offer more. I expected a try or two. I did. I thought we might have a little bit more.
Roland wouldn't let the game go. Yeah, he completely fucking blew the game to pieces.
But if you ever want to watch a game and see how much respect there is in rugby and sort of how the character of the players and stuff, you watch that game. The guys, the Saracens gave Toulon a tunnel on the way out to congratulate them on their win. I thought that drop kick that Wilkinson took when Farrell hit him just as he took the drop, and then can see them both kind of turning around to see the drop kick, and then Farrell just drops his head on the ground because he knew it was over and the game as well. And Johnny Wilkinson just tapped him on the back and picked him up. So I thought it was exceptional.
Did you see the tweet with that picture? Someone said, "My eyes aren't that good. Is that your name or my name down for the Lions?"
Yeah, fair enough. I tell you that after that game, it was quite evident that Wilkinson was the man. So, or for the Lions, he's solid. He still can do the job exceptionally well. He's signed another year contract with Toulon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he did indeed. The final Saturday, 18 May in Dublin. It's
a whole bunch of frogs in Dublin.
Yeah, which. It gets even more confusing because the following weekend is London's going to be full of Germans for the Champions League final. The Aviva Premiership wraps itself up in terms of the final pool games this weekend, pool log, whatever the hell we want to call them. The top four are pretty much decided. There is still a possibility of Bath sneaking a Heineken Cup spot for next year. Off of one of Exeter or Gloucester, but the semi-finalists will be Sarries, Leicester, Gloucester and Exeter could lose out to Bath. Semi-finalists Sarries, Leicester, Harlequins and Northampton Saints. It's just down to in which pecking order they go. Gloucester play Exeter Chiefs, Quins play Northampton. The winner of that will basically finish third. End of conversation, really. Leicester Tigers, London Irish. Irish look like they are safe from relegation, but nothing is guaranteed. And then London Welsh play Worcester Warriors, and again there Worcester aren't safe either, because if Sale Sharks pick up a win and the Welsh get up over the Warriors end up in the relegation battle. Sale Sharks play London Wasps. Where are Wasps? Are they mid-table? Nothing really going on there. And then Sarries Bath. Sarries looking to secure home final, home semi, and Bath looking to get into the Heineken Cup. That could be the game to watch.
The three big games for me are Exeter and Gloucester, Leicester and London Irish, and then Saracens and Bath, and that's all. It's all a relegation battle and a top six battle, or a home semi-final battle. So
because essentially, if Bath beats Sarries,
all the games get played at once. So we'll only really know once it's going on, which will make it quite tight.
And then the French top 14. What I didn't know about this is they actually have a quarterfinal or a playoff before the semi-finals as well. It's top 6 go through.
Top 2 qualify for the semi, and then the same as Super Rugby.
Yeah. I didn't realize that was the situation. Clermont and Toulon are pretty much guaranteed that they are going to be the semi-finalists, and then Toulouse, Castres, Racing, Metro and Montpellier are the next 4, and again it's just down to in which order and who's going to be playing who. No one else can really get in there. Big news coming out of France is that Digby Aoni has signed for Stade Francais for next season.
Massive. Stade Francais haven't had a great season. They were sort of giants in the game for many years. They're kind of dropping off a little bit, and they're not going to make the playoffs this year. They're comfortably sitting in mid-table, and they've made a couple of signings as well. Isn't Mornay staying going there as well?
Yes, you may be right.
I am, and so they're kind of dropping some cash for the French sides. There's no surprise.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to watch them next year.
Indeed. Glasgow Sevens is this weekend. We touched on it last week. No Cecil or no Branco for the Blitzbokker. Young WJ Stradom, the playmaker-elect on debut, his first Sevens tournament, comes out of Uffies or Turkeys. Uffies and then Turkeys. The squad: Frankie Horn, Chris Dry, Philip Snyman, Jumbo Olengo, Cornel Hendricks, Peter Engelbrecht, Stefan de Pinaar, Justin Geduld, Ciabello, Sinatla, Stephen Hunt, Paul Delport, and as we said, WJ Stradom. The Blitzbokker get underway on Saturday, 12:58. They play Kenya. Then they've got Canada at just after 4, and then just before 8, their big clash against Samoa. 2 other games for Saturday that are worth keeping an eye open for. The Kiwis versus England at about 1:45, and Australia Fiji at just after 7. I mean it's New Zealand's IRB Sevens championship to lose, really. Vodacom Cup, I know we don't really talk about this, but we have got down to the
We
quarter.
only talk about one side.
Yeah, the quarterfinals, and those Limpopo Blue Bulls are at it again. Limp being the operative word. They were thumped 161-3 by the Lions. 3 weeks running, their scores have been.
They got points on the board, and that must have been one objective.
Yeah. 3 weeks running, they've gone 154-0, 110-0, and 161-3. Crucially, the Lions knew they had to get a points differential from +8 to +132 because the Leopards had lost to the Pumas 29-28 the night before, and they duly went and got a quarterfinal spot by ending up with a +166, while the Leopards were only +131. Quarterfinals this weekend: Sharks versus the Lions, 3 o'clock on Friday afternoon. Pumas Pampas 7 Friday night. Province Griquas 3:30 on Saturday afternoon, and then Bulls versus EP Kings at 4:30. A big issue coming out of this is that Western Province game clashes with the InterVarsity at the Green Mile.
It's gonna be crazy, yeah.
Newlands will be pretty empty, methinks.
It's gonna be. It'll be. It's tough. I mean, I don't know why they do something like that. But
and
anyway.
then just quickly to race through club rugby, because it is InterVarsity this weekend. Interestingly enough, UCT have already played 5 games this season and sit top with 3 wins, a draw, and a loss.
Both UCT and Marty's get a little head start in their games because when the
But Marty's have only played 3.
Yeah, I know, but they get a head start, so they play make-up games and Wednesday games. So when the guys go on holiday, they're not required to play rugby.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, UCT sit top, Durbell second, Marty's are third, Warmers 5th, Hammies are 5th. Having played 3 games, 2 wins and a loss. Results this weekend: Hammies beat SK in the derby 39-6. Holderberg beats Steinhoff Vix 26-3. Belleville beat Bella 11.
That's the wrong way around. Vix won that game.
They did indeed. We've lost our prints somewhere. And then I know UCT thrashed Tigerberg, I think 36 or 39-3.
And Durbell and Marty's, which was effectively 1 and 2 of last year, also busy fighting it out hard. There was an unbelievable game. Durbell were in the lead changed hands a few times, but they were pretty comfortably sort of a few points in, and Marty's grabbed it with a couple of minutes to go.
Indeed. Big shock for me in pulling this information together is the state of what is going on in the B division, because Village are bottom, 3 losses from 3 games. My old man bumped into the club chairman, who's an old friend of his, the other day. Basically, the club's got no money from having to rebuild their clubhouse, etc. So they're not playing players this year, which means they had a massive exodus of guys that just left because they weren't going to get any cash for playing. And they're just trying to rebuild the squad and get financially stable and hopefully make a comeback in a year or 2.
It is imperative that they stay in the Super B. If they drop down again, I would go as far as saying that Villages will close their doors, which will be a sad day for SA Rugby. You know, being the second oldest side in South Africa and possibly
one
Southern Hemisphere.
And one of the oldest in the world.
Yeah. And it's tough. You can't pay guys and then not. If they took that stance from the very beginning, I'd understand it. It would be a different story. However, you know, they really, things have gone tits up there. And you look at False Bay and Villages went down out of the Super A. False Bay knew when they were getting relegated already, changed some coaches, sorted a few things out, and started making plans to make sure that they do well in the Super B, and they've won 3 from 3, and they're looking to come straight up again. But I'm worried for Village.
So am I. And on that note, we're going to take a little bit of a break. When we come back, we're going to tear into a bit of Super Rugby and a bit of ref stress. Because there was some of that.
A little bit.
You're listening to Driving Maul on Loud Radio, where blokes judge rugby.
The world is a
Welcome back to Driving Maul. It's time for a little bit of Super Rugby and some ref stress. And I'm gonna
Super Brute picks.
Yeah, that too. Grand Slam, baby.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well done. I didn't. Shit.
It was a little bit of a hollow Grand Slam because about 50% of my pool fucking ended up with it. I moved up like one place in my log.
Don't worry, I didn't get anything. So I'm languishing at the bottom. I'm just keeping up the back markers a little bit there.
Super Rugby news. Skulkberg is undergoing another minor procedure. It's worrying. It's worrying. Anyway, on to the rugby. And we got a new name in the Stormers team, courtesy of the Kiwi commentators, because I don't know who the hell Gary Van Arswegen is. Sorry, Arse Vegan.
Arse vegan.
Yeah, Gary Van Arswegen.
And be a vegan at the same time.
No, but anyway, yeah, that
Gary
was
Van Arswegen. That is brilliant.
in that game. The Stormers come away with the win and probably can be grateful to Brian Abana's jet shoes charging down a penalty, a conversion attempt on the half-time hooter, which eventually resulted in a 2-point win.
And I was having such big words with someone on who selected Brian Habana in his Super Rugby Team of the Week. He was like, he made 7 unforced errors during the day, and he was terrible. But just because he charged down that ball and they won because of that, I'm gonna put him in Team of the Week. What the fuck is up with this bullshit?
Now, talking bullshit. Steve Walsh, seriously, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
How many times are we gonna have Steve Walsh in the ref stress?
Hey, no, seriously, right? Ben Franks. It is Ben Franks playing for the Cades.
I think so. I'll tell you now.
Well,
you carry on talking.
Yeah, throws a punch.
What
at Elstead, where he connects they come back and say to the torso. It looked pretty much like it went at the face, and the second punch did as well.
Face.
Completely unwarranted. Just gets a penalty. No warning. No yellow card. Should have been yellow. Could have maybe been red.
Ben
right?
Franks, you're right.
Yeah.
It's bullshit. And he's gone and he didn't. They chatted to the touch judge as well. The TJ was like he was punching.
Yeah, and then they send it upstairs, and then Walsh doesn't wait for the decision from the TMO. Says, "No, I've seen that. We'll go with the penalty."
But how do you not get a card
for punching for no reason? It wasn't like Elstead hit him it was at a scrum, and he picked his leg up and then put it down, and then he clocks him. But to make matters worse from Steve Walsh and the Ben Franks personal fucking supporters club that he obviously is. Franks was putting his hand on the ground at just about every scrum without getting penalised. Then the Stormers get a penalty. They kick it downtown and they go try for a rolling maul. It gets taken down by Jeremy Thrush. He gets a yellow card for taking down the maul. From the ensuing penalty, the Stormers kick it into touch and they go again. Ben Franks gets pinged for coming in from the side of the ruck.
No yellow card.
And not even a warning. Stormers get another penalty. They kick it in touch. Ben Franks takes that fucking maul down with the Stormers heading for the try line. And Walsh calls the skipper over and says, the next time it happens, I'm going to have to bin someone. You just fucking did bin someone, you cunt. And that's the 4th offence by him in literally 2 balls in a row. How he was still on the park, never mind in his jeans at half time, is beyond me. Diabolical.
Oh, we need a camera in this place. Oh, that was absolutely spectacular. I can't wait to hear that later again.
Did my head in. Anyway, Stormers started their hashtag 4 from 4 tour down under with a win.
What a win. That was how my Super Brew started in the back foot this weekend, because I actually didn't pick them to win. I thought the Canes would take it. What a great performance by the guys after their first week of travel and a bit of shit, and being really, I think they were kind of happy to see the back end of South Africa for a couple of weeks, so they could actually just get out of all the caca that's brewing down here, and flip, they did well.
They did indeed. And then another cliffhanger, which had more Super Brew sweat going on with it, because the Reds managed to just get up over the Blues 12 points to 11. No tries for the Reds. All of the points coming from Quade Cooper's boot. Jackson Willison with a try for the Blues. And Albert Nakoro out of nowhere with a 56 or 60 metre penalty kick in the first half.
I thought Quade Cooper was exceptional in that game. Pretty good. And I think I picked that right. Picked the Reds there.
Game of the weekend.
The Reds.
Chiefs versus the Sharks.
Yes.
And it was like 20 minutes Chiefs, 20 minutes Sharks, 20 minutes Chiefs, 20 minutes Sharks.
Fuck you. No, fuck you. No,
yeah.
Fuck you.
I tell you who impressed me was Lobolelo Mtembu at 8.
Machine.
Yeah.
How big is that kid?
And play some pretty decent 8th man rugby going on there.
Yeah.
Nice little 8-9 back to 8 move for his try.
How's about having a little bit of him and a bit of I've had a blank. Stormers. Damn it.
Dwayne.
Yeah, but
Oh no, you're talking Siakalisi.
Yeah. Imagine him, and then Dwayne will. You see, the problem is Dwayne. I suppose we can put Dwayne on the flank. He doesn't have to play 8.
Well, who knows? But Derek Minnie on debut for the Sharks picked up 2 tries. One of them very sketchy.
Very. But you shut your mouth. The problem for me was the Sharks leaking 21 points in like a split second in the first half. I thought we were facing down the barrel of 80. And
came back nicely.
Very well.
And then threw away the loser's point by conceding a penalty with time up.
I was cursing.
I'm sure.
I was cursing.
The Brumbies...
that would have been 2 bonus points.
It would have been a draw, effectively. It would have been a loss, but it could have been the same points as a draw.
Would have been 2 points. Confuse the shit.
Brumbies bounced back to thrash the Force 41-7 after 2 draws in 3 games. Jesse Mogg and Henry Spate with more tries. Spate now sits top of the try scoring charts with 7 for the season already.
Yeah, got 2 in the weekend.
Yeah. The Bulls slow poison basically getting up over the Waratahs, helped by Pastrami from Argentina with his fucking monobrow.
Man, that guy's got a massive caterpillar on his face.
Him and Ron Penna were separated at birth. Casey's wife needs to ask some serious questions about whether Casey ever went to Argentina in the 80s, 70s.
I actually lost out on that one. I thought the Waratahs might sneak it. I thought with their performance last week, the week before, Bulls very solid. Yep. Very, very
Israel
solid.
Folau, try of the weekend for me.
Israel Folau
fending, gapping. He's 5 tries for the season now, just added suddenly.
Yeah, but that's what's happened last week. I was like, cool. He's finally grasped the concept of this union shit, and let's see how he carries on with it. Great performance. He right now will start at 15 for the Wobblies ahead of Jesse Mogg. Mogg will come off the bench, I believe. Folau is unbelievable at the moment.
Indeed. Mornay Steyn kicking a whole bunch of points and scoring a try.
No. Oh yeah, he tried hard to actually butcher scoring a try. He was desperate though.
The Cheetahs tried gallantly to pick up the bonus point try against the Kings, but the Kings just would not let them.
No.
I don't know if he ever actually will be, but he is
Philly
quite
having
spectacular.
An unbelievable season.
Well, he's been 2 years, 3 years. He's been right up there. And then the Crusaders really did their utmost to lose to the Rebel. Ended up getting over the line 30 points to 26.
What a performance by the Rebels.
But Scott Higginbotham, what a game of rugby. He was doing everything. Little catch and chips, clearance kicks downfield with the left foot 50 metres, scored a try, running from everywhere, making tackles. Give him the captain's armband more often, I say.
He was a machine. The only problem is he kind of fluctuates a little bit on the rugby field and blowing a bit hot and cold. But if he carries on like that, then he'll retain his 8th-man position for the Wallabies.
Yes, he playing like that, you'd think he'd be a shoo-in, really.
But he just doesn't do it every week.
But I think the responsibility of leading has allowed him to focus all of that negative shit. I mean, you know that he
does need a haircut, though.
You know that he was a soccer player, and he kept getting red carded, and they said maybe this game's not for you, son. So he only took up rugby at the age of 16 or 17.
James Small.
Yeah. What it means in terms of the log is the Brumbies sitting pretty, but they have played more games than everybody else. Chiefs are 2nd, Bulls are 3rd, Reds are 4th, even though they've got more points than 2nd and 3rd. Blues, Cheetahs are in with a shout for a playoff spot because they have a bye this weekend, so they're immediately going to go to 35 points. The South African conference is tighter than a nun's in a Turkish knock shop.
Turkish knock shop, eh?
Yeah.
It's crazy. I think
Sharks are under pressure. Stormers,
massively.
Both of them need to basically win. The Sharks, in theory, should beat the Highlanders this weekend, but you know what's going to happen.
You shut your face.
And then, the Highlanders propping up the bottom with the Kings holding on to 14th spot. This weekend's fixtures, it is the Blues Stormers at 9:35 tomorrow morning. We will be on air calling with commentary with balls.
I think it's my first one this season. I haven't called a game yet.
Possibly.
Jeez,
I actually called one on my own last week.
I know. How boring must that have been?
It was quite entertaining.
You do love the sound of your own voice, though.
Yeah. Rebels Chiefs is the 11:40 game tomorrow. Highlanders Sharks 9:35 on Saturday. Force Reds, Kings Tars. The Kings unbeaten against Australian opposition. This will be their last game against an Aussie side.
I'm dreading making that Super Bowl pick.
I know. Bulls Hurricanes just started their tour of South Africa, and then Brumbies Crusaders, the Sunday morning game that I still can't figure out how How they crept into rugby is beyond me.
I think they're
I don't
amazing.
mind them, but like it's 6:35 on a Sunday morning.
This is an 8 o'clock.
I know,
kickoff.
that's a little bit better.
Yeah, okay, cool. Just calm down.
Just some news that's come out of the teams, etc. The Crusaders have benched Izzy Dag. Dan Carter is back. He makes one of 6 changes from the side that struggled to get up over the rabble to play the Brumbies on Sunday. Julian Sever is back for the Canes. One of 3 changes for them to face the Bulls. The Rebels have got Kurtley Beale on the bench. The Stormers have made 3 changes. Michael Rhodes out injured. Sia Khaleesi comes in for him. Frans Malherbe comes in at tight head. And Elstad moves to the blind side.
See, Rhodes is out for about 4 months, eh?
Yeah, unlucky. Jürgen,
Just starting to get into the mix as well, Rhodes. Eh?
Jürgen Visser has been deemed fit. Wynand Olivier back. Jan Serfontein is out injured. Dion Stegman takes the place of Arno Botha. That makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. I cannot fathom how Stegman starts ahead of Botha. It just doesn't make any sense.
He is a machine.
Dude, it's just insane. He is spectacular. Mornay is going to equal the Bulls' appearance record in Super Rugby with Victor and Dani at 116, which means after their bye next week, he will be able to set a record that he'll hold all on his own. It's Flip's 50th game for the Bulls. He also played 6 for the Cheetahs. I did not know that.
Flip Van der Merwe?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then it'll be Hoagie's 50th if he gets up off the bench. Kevin Mialamu is in the starting lineup for the Blues against the Stormers after James Parsons picked up a neck injury. He will take his
very solid. Kevin
he'll take his record as the second most capped Super Rugby player to 142 games, while George Smith aims to break Gregan's record for the most Brumbies appearances in Super Rugby. He will run on the park for his 137th game on Sunday. Nathan Sharp still leads 162, Mialamu 141, Sterling Maltlock 139, but he is now done, which means Smith will be in 3rd place overall by the end of the season if things keep going his way. Richard Kahui, more injuries. Out for a few weeks with a shoulder gig.
I saw the best photo caption I've ever seen. It was from Rugged Blogger, guys in New Zealand, and there's a photo of Richard Kahui, and underneath it says, "How much can you bench?" He goes, "About 6 weeks." Man, how many injuries this guy had?
No, it's ridiculous. Talking about injuries, Tomato Ellison is back probably for the Highlanders this weekend against the Sharks, a month ahead of schedule after being out for quite a while. Sharks have lost Kobus Reinach. He's had to head home with an injury picked up in a try-saving tackle by the Chiefs.
I'm worried now.
But Luwazi, Mvovo and JP Peterson are back in the mix. Sergio Peterson is back for the Kings. Yes.
I cannot... I was going to say they should have put Peterson. Sharks hopefully had Peterson at outside centre, but Francis Staines back there.
Yeah, but
I wouldn't mind having Rian Fillion on the wing, Francois Steyn at fullback and JP Peterson at outside centre.
But that's not what you've got.
Okay.
It's a pretty decent backline though, with Charles McLeod, Pat Lambie, 9-10, Luwazi Mvovo, Meyer Bosman and Frans Steyn in the centres, JP Peterson on the wing and Rian Fillion at fullback. The pack is also Mthembu holds onto his spot, Marcel Coetzee and Keegan Daniel back into the side, Franke van der Merwe, Pieter Stef de Tooy, Jannie Dup, Carl Cooper, Vian Herbst. I cannot see the Highlanders getting a W there.
I'm glad that Cooper's back in the mix. Interestingly enough, Tian Meyer was flown up midweek, obviously to cover Reinach's injury. Youngster was playing club rugby a couple of weeks ago.
Indeed, and JC Jansen van Rensburg looks like he could get a Super Rugby game as well off the bench. The former Lions skipper who is heading north. For the Stormers, big news is that Eben Extra Beast is back after a long-term injury layoff. He starts off the bench. That should be fun. Elton Janshis is also back from injury. Nick Groom loses out with Janshis' return. The Stormers have pretty much picked the same side aside from a few injuries. As we said, Soliers drops to the bench. Frans Malherbe starts. Joe Peterson, Geo Applin, De Jong, De Villiers, Brian Abana, Gary Van Aswegen, Dewald Duvenaar, Vermeulen, Elstad. Up against the Blues side that like scoring tries, Charles Piatow and Frank Alai have got 4 and 5 apiece this season. Francis Saïdi's back, Jackson Willison, Ranger out on the wing. He's putting in some big hits and big runs.
Yes, this has been impressive, eh? The Kiwis always seem to have great wingers that are phenomenal centres. I mean, how often have they done it? Tana Umanga, Richard Kahui, Rene Ranger, Tim Nana Williams, just just to sort of trundle across a few.
Indeed. Chiefs are playing the Rebels. They haven't made too many changes from the side that looked fantastic in parts and then was like, what the hell's going on against the Sharks on the weekend. They've been very up and down in the last 3 or 4 weeks. The Rebels nearly surprised the Crusaders. Both those sides have had to travel back from New Zealand, so it's a bit debatable in terms of that. The Force have not named their team, surprise, but
was that their 9th week in a row?
Yeah, the Reds, the Reds are pretty much unchanged. Personally, can't see them not getting up over that. The Waratahs, not too many changes for them either. I think one of them is Peter Bethan, who's come in for someone on the wing. The Kings, Watson is still on the bench, as is Bullbrink and Waylon Murray.
And Peterson starting, eh?
He is indeed.
Fantastic.
And Ronnie Cook has moved back to centre with Andre Strauss. The Bulls, Hurricanes, as we said, not too much in terms of changes for both those sides from what ran out last week. As we said, Julian Severe is back in the mix. And the Crusaders, Tom Taylor, Tom Marshall, Robbie Fruin, Ryan Crotty, Zach Guilford, Dan Carter, Andy Ellis. And then 3 Whitelocks in the pack.
And they're up against the Brumbies, and that is going to be huge.
And the Brumbies as yet haven't named their side. But it is a bit of a Super Brew minefield.
Someone get that coin.
Yeah.
So we're going to hit this out now.
We are. To close off the show, there's my pen.
The Super Brew bets.
You go first.
Oh, what? Okay, so Blues Stormers. I'm going to say Stormers by 4.
I'm so torn on this one. The Stormers have focused on getting 4 out of 4. I think they're going to be up for it. I think they've got the pack to do it. It's just...
I didn't ask for a story. I want a number.
Stormers by 5.
Jesus. Rebels Chiefs. I am going to say the Chiefs are going to give the Rebels 19.
I think they're going to just sneak it. A handful. Did you say 19?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with a 6-point win for the Chiefs.
Forsyth Bar Stadium, Sharks taking on the winless Highlanders.
Yeah. The Highlanders have had a week off to try and re-strategize and regather their thoughts.
Again.
The Sharks look pretty strong, and it maybe have been a good decision by Plumtree to rest as many players as he did off the bench last week.
I must be honest, I was, after our discussion last week and hearing what you had to say regarding keeping the youngsters in keeping the team in touch with the youngsters and bringing on the big boys afterwards was quite impressive.
Also, given that they knew they were playing the Highlanders and probably targeted that as a 5-point game, I think the Chiefs are going, the Landers are going to get pumped, and Sharks by 12.
I got Sharks by 7. Reds Force.
Comfortable win for the Reds.
I say Reds up by 13.
21.
Shit! If you're just having a brief look at this, that's 4 from 4 away, eh?
Wow. Kings, Waratahs. Everything says it's going to be 5 from 5 away. But
I was having a good chuckle looking at you, having a look at the having a look at the bets. And what are the odds on the Kings winning it? 2-1.
Yeah, 235 to the rand, and the Tars are about 80 cents.
That's shit. You thought we might get a little bit more. That's quite impressive. Waratahs by 13. Do it.
Kings by 2.
Oh, lovely. Bulls, Hurricanes at Loftus, and the Canes are down on their first trip, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, first game of their trip, should I say?
Bulls by 20.
Bulls, Canes. I say Bulls by... Should I go Hurricanes just to keep it all down the right-hand side of the page? I say Bulls win this by 12.
Brumbies, Crusaders.
Shit. Can we delay the naming of this Super Brew thing because it's a Sunday game? Brumbies, Crusaders at home against the Crusaders side that have been rattled more often than not this year.
And a Brumbies team that have struggled to
take the Kiwis down.
And win games that they should have been winning. But the Aussies have got the Mockers over the Kiwis this year, and I'm going to say that Jake White's going to have the Mockers over Todd Blackadder. And the Brumbies are going to win it by 3.
I've got the Crusaders by 3.
There you have it.
There you have it. I just also would like to mention that it's been a rather impressive year for the Australian sides in terms of like their dominance, but it's only 2 of the sides, which would be the Reds and the Brumbies. It's been interesting to see the Waratahs up with a shot. I know they're a little bit low on mid-table at the moment, but they're starting to pick up their game slowly but surely. So,
well, the Tars have got a tough ask because they've got 2 games in South Africa, which they've lost one already, and then they fly home to meet the Stormers.
Ooh. Nice.
Yes. And that is about all she wrote. Enjoy the rugby, folks. As we said, we'll be back on air tomorrow morning about 9:15 for the Blues versus the Stormers. A little bit of commentary with balls from blokes on the couch.
You better go home and practice names. I don't want to hear no Van Aswegen and stuff like that coming out of your mouth. Okay.
Sharky, it's been awesome.
Thanks, Paul. See you tomorrow morning.
Definitely. Folks, take care. You've been listening.
Sorry, we will have this show up on YouTube tomorrow morning before kickoff, so everyone can have a little listen in afterwards.
Indeed. You have been listening to Driving Maul, where blokes judge rugby on Loud Radio. Turn it up, it's loud.